I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you have an elder sister and she's bougie and she's a little like, kind of to herself, a little isolated from the family, just know she been through the trenches. Just know she wasn't bougie growing up because she had to go without for so long that she said, nah, when I grow up, never again. I'm never suffering like this again. And then just know like she's isolated because she had to hold down the fort for her whole life, that now she's taking back her peace, okay? So don't come for them eldest daughters, okay? We all in therapy.
Friends, so today we are talking about what I like to call eldest daughter syndrome. I am the oldest everything. I'm the first daughter, I'm the first granddaughter, first niece, the big cousin, the everything. So I figured I'd come to you guys with a series of TikToks, and then of course at the end my own reaction and my 2 cents, because I don't think I've ever felt so hurt in my life, y'all. Like, seriously. Like, I understand now. I said the other day to one of my clients, like, now I understand why I'm so tired and overstimulated, because I have not been able to sit down since I was 6 years old. And all of these TikToks made sense to me. Like, I don't fault my parents. My father was a single father. He definitely needed the help. But a lot of us was parents at like 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever, So I'm going to play a couple of these, and then I'll come back to y'all with the rest of my commentary.
So therapists identify what older siblings talk about the most in their sessions, and honestly, it's a bit heartbreaking. I thought I'd chime in on this because in particular what I do when working with trauma, I actually hear a lot of this from older siblings, and more specifically, I hear it from women of color who are the oldest female in their family. And I do say female in particular because I've noticed that it doesn't have to be a daughter. It could be the oldest cousin, the oldest aunt, any of these categories where you are considered to be dealing with a lot of excessive caregiving. You usually have a lot of responsibilities placed upon you. You also tend to have to do a lot of people managing, a lot of problem solving. You also tend to have a lot of responsibility on you when it comes to financial commitments, or taking care of the financial commitments of your parents or your younger siblings. So let's talk about excessive caregiving. I have found that in families where the oldest female is the most successful, the most capable, who has the most high achieving aspects to her life, will always be placed in a role of being with doing excessive caregiving, or she has what they would consider time on her hands. That time is always delegated back to the family. It is never delegated to any of her priorities, and she's not even considered to be a priority in her life some of the time. I've even seen this skip a generation where it seems like the mother will bow out, and the oldest daughter in this particular situation is responsible for caring for her mother and her grandmother and sometimes her aunts, just because they feel like she's the more capable one in the family. And so the mother doesn't even take responsibility for caring for her own mother. And then you have a situation where there's one person caring for maybe 3 different generations in a family. Another thing I hear about a lot is that if you happen to be the oldest daughter in the family, or even if you have an older brother, whoever the oldest female in the family is, a cousin, an aunt, it doesn't matter. If you are in the family, whether it is an immediate family or an extended family, but you're considered to be a part of that family unit, you will be taxed with excessive caregiving, without a doubt. That excessive caregiving will go into not just caring for the children, it will be caring for every aspect of the household, the cleaning, the cooking, the managing of the household, sometimes even being responsible for how money is distributed and how money even comes into the household. I've seen many situations where the parent will even go to the oldest female and ask her what to do with certain things. I've also seen it where they will tax the oldest with cleaning and levels of cleaning and perfectionism in cleaning that are even beyond what the parents do themselves when they contribute to the household. And so her expectation for excellence is way above anything, one, that's appropriate for her age, and then even being contributed by other members of the family. And then let's talk about age, because I've also seen this take place no matter how old, this child is. She could be 9, she could be 8, starting with this level of responsibility in her household. Finances. If you are the oldest daughter in these situations where I've seen, maybe it's an immigrant household, or maybe it's just a household where a family has maybe always had some level of struggle. As that child gets older, she will always be expected to contribute to her parents' well-being financially. She will always be the person that her siblings seek out when they have a financial issue, to meet that need, or to help them problem solve, or to help them financially plan or goal set. She will be the financial lead, to fill in any gaps that the family may have, and she will also be expected to fill in those gaps. Now, this next one is quite unique, and I don't think maybe it has been mentioned or talked about a lot, and I've seen it in my practice more than once. I find that sometimes in these households, if you are the oldest daughter, oldest female, there's almost like this push for you not to start your life. There's so much restrictions placed upon you not dating, you not having interactions with males, you not having any actions in starting your own family. There's a lot of shame and guilt placed upon you even wanting to do those things. There's almost this push to, in order to have complete access to you all the time for all parts of your life, for the betterment of everyone in your family, you are not to have children, you are not to get married, you are not to start your own life. It is better for everyone else if you remain single, successful, financially stable, without attachments like a husband or a child. Then that way your family always is able to have access to you to get their needs met. So while every other sibling, the reins may be loosened up, and they may be encouraged to get married, they may be encouraged to date, they may be encouraged to, have outside friends or activities or hobbies. That is never the case with the oldest. She is only encouraged to meet the needs of her family and to put back all of her extras in her life, her extra time, her extra energy, her extra spiritual energy, her extra nurturing, her caring. She's always encouraged to put that back into the family. So I assume that you're guessing that, of course, this contributes to generational trauma, in every way. But also remember, these are ideas of community, and these are ideas of community that are taken in a negative direction, where the contributions of the members of the community, they are not received in the way that they should, in a respectful way. And so harm is created. And these generational curses are just something that need to really honestly be discussed, and they need to stop.
This is giving major eldest daughter syndrome. For those who don't know, the eldest daughter is always the one, it's like they put all the weight on her. She's the one that keeps the family together. She's the glue. She's the one that's like taking care of the little siblings, dealing with the da 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 da. It's like it's like this weight that they put on the eldest daughter. I just want to give a hug to all the elder siblings, all the eldest siblings out there. I want to give a hug to y'all. I want to give a hug to all the eldest daughters, for real, doing the work and getting no love, no credit, doing the silent work that keeps everything together, and the expectations that are put on you as the eldest daughter to just do it, to just be that person who's available for everybody and always the one that's always going to do right by the family and keep everybody together.
Let me keep it real with you. The oldest daughter has thought about running away more times as an adult than as a child.
I think the reason that oldest daughters are always kind of a little bit unhinged is because once they hit a certain age, they come into this realization they're like, oh, I never was a kid. I never got to be a kid. I've always been the supporter of my parents, my siblings. I've never once just got to be a kid or like a person. And so, if you know an oldest daughter or an oldest sibling, give them a hug and say thank you because they're probably going through it and they're constantly probably going through it. So, give them a little kiss, a little side hug. Be kind to them.
A lot of y'all owe y'all oldest children an apology on top of a thank you for your service. If this ain't for you, you might want to scroll because I'm probably about to piss you off. I have 2 children. I decided a long time ago that I didn't want any more children because I've been so traumatized and like all the weird sacrifices that I have had to make sure like we were okay though. But I knew I wasn't about to have another child and make my children raise that child. I do teach them familyship, but I'm talking about something completely different that you can't adequately provide for. Where you're making your oldest child be your babysitter. Where your daughter doesn't get to date, but she's like the mom of your house. Like you giving her the responsibility of being a mom number 2. But when it comes to her doing things with people of her own age group, she's not allowed to. But she can cook and she can clean and she can babysit. But she can't go hang out with people her own age because you need her to stay at home and be your babysitter while you work or party. Stop having these children that y'all know y'all can't take care of when it's stripping the children that you have from their own childhood. Because it's okay to step in and help your family. But your oldest child, they take the place of a lot of the mates that y'all choosing. A lot of the fathers that y'all choosing. A lot of the mothers that y'all choosing. Y'all put so much responsibility on y'all oldest kids than y'all do on a person you actually had the child with. Like some of y'all children are doing more than what your husband is doing for y'all children. And instead of appreciating them and thanking them, y'all treat them like this is something you're supposed to be doing. I decided I wasn't doing that to my kids. Like I know I can hardly take care of them, so I'm not about to make y'all my live-in babysitters. There's gonna become a day where your children are gonna look at you as a person. Not as your mama, not as the daddy, but just as a person. They're gonna analyze the decisions you made when it came to them. The decisions you kept making when it came to them. And you will be judged. No matter what they say, oh, you don't judge. No, you will be judged. Then y'all actually had a nerve to make them feel like everything is their fault. Like the children up under them learn no accountability. I'm talking about the situation that got so bad. Your children are afraid to go off to school to go start enjoying life as young adults because they're feeling a guilt for leaving. Like the guilt of a mother having to return to work after she had her newborn. These children weren't even able to be kids. A lot of them older siblings are angry. They have like this hyper independence. Go apologize to your oldest child. Go let them know you appreciate all the sacrifices that they have made. Because I'm sure they remember almost every last one of them and you won't even fucking acknowledge it.
I'm the firstborn daughter and I feel like I cannot win with my mom. I know it's somebody out there who can relate. She invalidates every experience that I have. She want to play the victim for everything that I say. I say all the healing work that I'm doing is because of my childhood trauma. And she says, I had a worse childhood than you. When she didn't. She did not. She had a household with 2 parents. She had her mom and her dad her whole life. Her sister and her brother, they went to the same schools all the time. They ate 3 meals every single day. She had some traumatic experiences, but nothing like me. My mom was the neighborhood crackhead. I've been in DCFS custody twice, molested by 2 family members. trying to figure out how to take care of my little sister. I can't win.
If you are the oldest daughter in a family, this video is for you. You're probably extremely independent, you're probably very strong, and I would bet throughout so much of your life, you took on other people's emotions and other people's crap that was not yours to take on. And if you are anything like me, then you are well into your era where you set strong boundaries, you stick to those boundaries, and it gives you a lot of peace. Like, you are thriving, or you're getting to the point of thriving. And that only comes because you were like, I'm so tired of taking on everyone else's crap instead of taking care of myself. So why am I making this video? I would bet that even if you are like the healthiest version of yourself, you still have one or more people that resents you because of your boundaries. This is your reminder that their resentment is none of your business. I would bet that that is a person who continually has to dump stuff onto you, and then they feel better because they just dump their emotions on you, hand it over to you, let you stress about it, and then they walk away and they're like, cool, I feel good. I bet you got to a point where you were like, I am not letting people do this to me anymore. Which is why people like that will resent you, because you are thriving. You're like, I'm not going to take on your crap and then not thrive because you can't manage your own emotions, your own life, your own stuff. Keep doing your thing. Be careful how often you are around someone that you can tell has resentment towards you, wants to treat you kind of like an emotional garbage dump, because they can explode at any minute. If they explode, if they show signs of like trying to pour this resentment on you, walk away. This is not mean. This is healthy. What they're trying to do to you is unhealthy, it's toxic, it's dysfunctional, and it sucks whenever it's someone you genuinely love, but you know that they cannot figure it out and they continually try pulling you back into this cycle. Sometimes you have to cut those final ties to be like, I'm not gonna stay in this cycle in any way, shape, or form.
This one's for the eldest daughters. What do you guys think it's like to not constantly be aware of the emotions of every single person around you and make it your responsibility to always make sure that everyone is okay, no matter what energetic, emotional, or mental toll it takes on you? I imagine it's pretty nice.
A lot of these eldest daughters or only daughters as adults chose not to have.
Eldest daughter here, first gen. Thank you for starting this conversation. Why don't you want to have kids? I've already had kids. They're called siblings. I already know what it's like to help someone with their homework. I already know what it's like to dress someone, put on their clothes in the morning. I already know what it's like to counsel and advice on where you're going to go to college, whether you should be in sports or not. How to navigate friendships, how to navigate breakups. I have siblings. I've already done all of these things. I've already had children. Why would I want to do that again just because they came from my own womb? Oh, well, you get to be there side by side when they go through some of the most important things in their lives. I already did with my brother and sister. I already did. Here are the important parts. When they transition from elementary to middle school, from middle school to high school, from high school to college, when they have their first girlfriend, when they get engaged, when they decide what college they're going to go to, when they have their first breakup, when they're starting to have sex. Been there already. I don't need to have my own kids to have these conversations. If you want to have kids because you want to have kids and you've always wanted to have kids, great. But if you're on the fence, or if you think that you want to have kids because everyone tells you that you're going to miss out on something, it's not that big of a deal. As an eldest daughter who has had pseudo children because they helped raise their siblings, it's not that big of a deal. Don't do it unless you will regret it every single day of your life, 100% of the time. if you don't. I have a child-free life by choice, and every day it just reinforces that it's the best decision that I've ever made.
All right, y'all. So I think one of the biggest things that stuck out to me was the therapist's perspective and how a lot of us all have the same sentiment. It's another video that I have in the queue that talks about like the older daughters or the oldest daughters that have grown up and said that they didn't want kids or they didn't want to be a mother. And oh my God, y'all, I was speaking to a client of mine today and we were both talking about it. And she was telling me about how like she had to get in a group chat and like put her siblings and her parents in a group chat and remind them like, hey, these are not my kids. These are your kids. So if you're having a problem with one of your children, you should talk to your children, the ones that you have the issue with, not the older sibling. And you guys, I literally always say, I tell my husband all the time when I complain, like, I literally feel like I'm the matriarch and both of my grandmothers are still alive. Like, even my grandmothers call me when my parents are out of line or are tripping or if they need something. Then my parents are calling me about my siblings. And it's frustrating. And then when you think about it, like my parents used to get mad when I was younger, but I would always tell them like when my siblings would get in trouble or they'd be screwing up in school, and I'd be like, oh, look at that. The kid that you guys ignored or didn't pay a whole lot of attention to is the one that didn't give y'all any problems. You know, we were always looked at like, oh, this is the easy child. And what it really was is it wasn't about being quote unquote easy. It was literally just that a lot of our needs were not met because they were spending so much time on the other kids. If you notice, the other kids was always getting in trouble. The other kids, you know, oh, such and such need this, such and such need that. Like, y'all, I remember when I was in, I think I had called my dad and asked my dad to help me with some money for my school books once when I was in college. And he was like, oh, I just have to buy your brother's football equipment, so I don't have it. And I was just like, oh, okay, you know, it's cool. Like, so a few years later, I remember calling him and I asked him for like a couple dollars for gas. And he was like, oh, I just have to help your brother buy his school books. And I was like, oh, so we buying school books now. Let me find out. Like, it was always something. And then let's not get started on those of us that have brothers, because the whole dynamic is different. Like, the shit that they're allowed to do, whether you're older than them or younger than them, like the shit they get away with, just everything is like completely different. But like, a lot of us were literally like little miniature moms and wives long before we were even supposed to be. Like, I get told all the time, I'm 34 now, but like when I was younger, I used to get told all the time, like, oh my God, you're so mature. And I'd be like, baby, this is trauma. Like, I just make it look good. You know, like, I can remember being like 19. My little sister went to school in the opposite direction, and my mom would be like, drop your sister off to school, or do your sister's hair, or whatever the case is. And then like my mom would go take my sister shopping or do something for her, and I'd be like, well, damn, you didn't do nothing for me. And she'd be like, oh, well, you're grown, you can get your own stuff. Like, we really were so neglected. And I realize now that I think a huge part of me being an introvert is literally because I was ignored as a kid. Like, it's like I was an honor roll student. I would get honor roll and my parents were just like, oh yeah, you know, that we're proud of you, but that's regular. Like, you know, but then like the baby kids would like get a C in a class that they was failing before, and it's like cause for celebration. Like, I've noticed that as well. Like, a lot of us older daughters are overachievers. We're perfectionists. And it's not even something, I think it took me like 30 years, honestly, y'all, to figure out what it was and where it came from. And it's like we fought so hard for like that attention and acceptance when our siblings can't even hold a candle to anything that we're doing or have done. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, and no offense to my own siblings, but how many of y'all were the kid, like you were the one that had it the hardest, but your siblings, like, literally, they don't have nothing to show for all that attention and extra love that they got that you didn't get? Like, a lot of us, I realized too, like, I'm a mom now. Y'all, I be so damn overstimulated. And I realize it's because, like, it wasn't until I had that little space of time, when I moved out, before I moved out and then had a kid, that I had like some genuine peace and quiet. Like I was telling my best friend today, I said, you know what I noticed? I said, it's like when I have an off day or I'm sitting down somewhere, I'm still anxious like it's something I'm supposed to be doing. And I realized it's because when I was growing up in either one of my parents' houses, it was like the minute that I sat down for some sort of rest, or if I slept in, if I was even allowed to sleep in, they were getting at me, telling me that there was something that like I didn't do or something that needed to be done. And I'm looking at my siblings like, so these niggas not have like arms? Like, are they all handicapped? I'm so confused. Like, it blows me. Like, and I did another video on, like the narcissistic moms. But a lot of us, we've never even been validated for the things that we've gone through. Like, I will say that my father has definitely, we have these conversations a lot. We've talked about this a lot, and he has apologized, which I appreciate. We talk about those things that, I've gone through. And I totally understand also that my father was a single father. And so I give him a lot of grace because he needed help. You know what I mean? Like, and he would like let me come back, to LA for the summers and stuff like that. But little did he know I was out here in LA and I was babysitting during the day. So I was still like the little mini mom. You know what I mean? Like my dad's nickname for me literally is Lil Mama for that very reason. Like I really was the little mom. You know what I mean? So it's just nice to be able to like be heard. Like I really appreciate these types of videos because I hate that we all went through what we went through, but I definitely appreciate that we all now have a platform to to let each other know that we're not alone. But anyway, y'all, I appreciate y'all for being here as always, and I will see y'all in the next video. Please be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I love having y'all here. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.